The first part of this series focused on the use of blatant foreshadowing and irony in Monogatari and the purpose it serves in the series. In part 2, I want to look at Monogatari on a more structural level. Specifically, how does its narrative structure help sell it as a mystery story, and what role does foreshadowing play? To understand this fully, we need to understand why Monogatari is written as a non-linear narrative. Firstly, Nisio Isin is primarily concerned with presenting concepts linearly. Since these concepts aren't always easily understood when looking at the story chronologically, many events are presented before or after their actual chronological order. Secondly, this is a character-driven series, so the introduction of a new character or concept is paramount, if not the most significant event that can occur. A new character means more mysteries to solve, new character relationships, and development of characters we already know. This is why the series is ordered specifically to ensure that new characters and concepts are introduced gradually. There are two main examples of this. One example is that Owari Monogatari Season 1 is the latest season of Monogatari to be released. In terms of the chronological timeline, however, Owari Season 1 actually takes place right in the middle of second season. Let's take a step back first to better understand why. Bake Monogatari introduces 7 of the main characters, foreshadows 1 who has no need to be fleshed out yet, and explains the concept of oddities at a foundational level. Nisei Monogatari briefly introduces some potential opposition in the form of a couple gray characters, expands on the previously foreshadowed Shinobu, but ultimately puts the most focus on Araragi's 2 sisters, and expands on the concept of oddities. Then we have second season, which more fully fleshes out and even subverts many of the characters and concepts we're already familiar with. In order to do that without introducing too much confusion, Owari Season 1 is presented last. Owari's material includes concepts such as Sodachi, the meta-narrative, which could be a whole other series, subverting the main character himself, Gaien, Ougi. This is not relevant information when second season's concept, if you will, is to focus on these characters we already know so we can become very familiar with them. It's also important to the mystery of Monogatari that we leave some of the details, on Ougi and Gaien especially, to be revealed after we learn how they become involved with other events in the series. The second main example of this non-linearity is Neko Monogatari Kuro, which tells the story about Hanekawa's encounter with the Sawari Neko. It takes place chronologically between Kizu and Bake, but is intended to be experienced after Nisei. This is because Neko, Kuro, and Shiro go a bit deeper into the concept of oddities, and also present Hanekawa in a light that would be jarring, coming straight from Kizu Monogatari. We need to be able to understand the lies that Hanekawa is living, and the mask that she puts on for other people, before we can truly understand the importance of her other side, so to speak. Since Hanekawa's development in Bake is much more gradual and subtle than it is in Neko Kuro, it makes sense conceptually to present this first, while foreshadowing the information we will learn instead. Neko Kuro also acts as a nice refresher on Hanekawa's story before we dive headfirst into her psyche in Neko Shiro. Now that we have a better understanding of why Monogatari is presented in a non-linear fashion, let's look more in-depth at the role of foreshadowing in this regard. Throughout the series, important clues are almost always foreshadowed prior to giving us a clear explanation. This is so important from a mystery story standpoint because it gives us an opportunity to come up with theories about what is happening prior to viewing the later material, allowing us to be like detectives putting together clues. As an example, let's use the current fan favorite mystery of the Monogatari series, Ougi Oshino. Her main arc is Owari Monogatari, but she is foreshadowed, or maybe I should say she foreshadows herself, throughout second season. Chronologically, this scene is somewhere here, after both Owari Season 1 and Otori Monogatari. It's the way she talks. It's those occasional remarks about Araragi being a fool that are never followed up on. It's the fact that you can almost make out a smidgen of personality, but ultimately her emotional responses come off as forced in a way that's almost creepy. All of this is intended to make us feel just a wee bit wary about Ougi. Nothing is explicitly stated, but the foreshadowing of her character as more powerful and knowledgeable than she lets on is quite clear, especially in hindsight for those who have seen Owari Season 1. Confirming our possible suspicions about Ougi in the first example, her next appearance in Otori reveals some rather cryptic clues indeed.
どうしてナレコの名前知ってるの？ああ、そうだ。しまった。まだ私は戦国ちゃんとは知り合ってなかった。ああ、もう順番間違えた。それもこれも八九時ちゃんがなかなか見つからないから。あー、ダメか。出だしで失敗しちゃったな。まあいっか。戦国ちゃんの件って基本的に番外編だし、羽川のところの翼先輩みたいなことにはならないだろう。
Firstly, keep in mind that chronologically this is still post-Owari Monogatari. It's important that we're given this information now because 1, it adds a sense of mystery to the rest of second season, which would be much less impactful had we been shown Owari first, and 2, it sets the stage by foreshadowing what we will learn in Owari Seasons 1 and 2. Who or what is Ougi? At this point, viewers will be trying to figure it out, but the author has cleverly given us just the right clues to start forming ideas while keeping the mystery itself tightly under wraps. At the same time, all of this dialogue is still relevant to the arc, which focuses on the subversion of Nadeko's character as a shallow moe girl from Bake. Ougi's final main appearance in second season is at the end of Oni Monogatari, where she gives us a rather chilling and undecipherable explanation of her job.
それでは私はいろいろと仕事がありますので、今日のところはこれで失礼しますね。
ねえ、扇ちゃん、仕事って何？
普通の仕事ですよ。例えて言えば、宇宙の大半を占める圧倒的な暗闇のようにありふれた仕事です。間違っているものを正し、終わるべきものを終わらせる。強いて言うなら嘘つきを罰する仕事ってところですかね。
ああ、
そのうちわかりますからご安心ください。ひょっとしたらこの先荒木先輩の力を借りることもあるかもしれませんし。
This foreshadowing provides another important clue about the nature of Ougi that will be slowly revealed throughout Owari Monogatari Seasons 1 and 2. As a quick reference, also note that Ougi is mentioned again here at the end of second season. This is a clever insert by the author to ensure she's in the back of our minds going into the rest of the series. Now if we look at Monogatari again at a structural level, it may be easier to appreciate the methodology behind presenting the mystery in a non-linear fashion. By the time second season is over, enough high-level info about Ougi has been foreshadowed that we can come up with our own theories about her. Owari Season 1 contains clues that could either help affirm or deny theories we came up with in second season. But even after Owari Season 1, we still don't have all of the information we need to fully understand Ougi. This is because the clues in Owari Season 1 foreshadow Owari Season 2. And looking back at all of the seasons thus far, we can see this is a trend that has been ongoing since the beginning. In conclusion, the Monogatari series may be non-linear from a chronological perspective, but in terms of unfolding the mystery and the meta-narrative, I would argue that it's actually quite linear indeed. Okay, well that's really everything I wanted to cover in this video, because I want to save the theoretical stuff and final season foreshadowing for part 3. A special shout out to those here from the Araragi subreddit for your support and motivation, but of course to everyone who is listening, take care and thanks for watching.